So here you go right now. Mark Levine.
Oh my goodness, Randy. Can I take you with me everywhere I go, please? Such eloquence as always from you. More importantly, I want to thank you for your determination, years of organizing, your passion, and your moral leadership, which have inspired me and a whole heck of a lot of other people in this room. Let's give a big round of applause for Randy Diller. Thank you so much. Saludos, mi gente. Inquilinos, hagan bulla. Así mismo es. Lo hicimos, ¿eh? Lo hicimos. Para que vean, hasta los gringos hay que hablar español aquí. Eso es obligado. Para que vean. You know, they said it couldn't be done. They said it could not be done. Again and again and again, we were told that right to counsel for tenants was never going to happen anywhere in America, especially not in New York with the largest housing court system in the nation. But those naysayers, those doubters, those haters, they never met Randy Diller. They never met Councilmember Vanessa Gibson, a force of nature, and my partner along every step of this journey. Thank you for your leadership and for your friendship, Vanessa. Let's give her a big round of applause. The haters never met fiercely effective labor leaders like Henry Garrido of DC 37. They never met elected officials like Debbie Rose and Andy Cohen and Margaret Chen and Robert Cornegy. And they never met the likes of Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr. That is for sure. That is for sure. They never met Andy Scherer either. Where's Andy Scherer? Wave your hand. There you are. There too? Andy Scherer, the indomitable, intellectual godfather of the right to counsel movement. Let's give him a big round of applause. And I'm told Elvis has just entered the building. Public Advocate Tish James. Who lent her towering moral voice to this cause, unwavering from day one. We are grateful for her leadership. And I'll tell you what the haters don't know. They don't know CASA. They don't know CASA power. And Susana Blankley, I can feel her intensity all the way from India. That's how serious she is. And Carmen de la Vega, and Fitz, and so many other amazing, amazing leaders in that coalition. And my chief of staff, Aya Keefe, who for every single day of the last 3.5 years poured her heart and her soul and her brilliance and her determination into leading this fight. Thank you, Aya. Thank you so much. This coalition brought together not just tenant advocates, not just legal service providers, but faith leaders. We brought together labor allies like DC 37 and 32 BJ and the Hotel Trades Council and the Central Labor Council and 1199 and so many others. Let's give our labor allies a big round of applause. And the mainstream legal community, including the New York Bar, John Kiernan, thank you for all you did. Los que decían que esto nunca llegara a pasar, y fueron muchos, que decían que iba a ser imposible que se aprobara este proyecto de ley. Decían que imposible que consiguiéramos un abogado para todo inquilino de bajo ingreso de esta ciudad. Ellos no nos conocen a nosotros. No nos conocen. They do not know us. They do not know New Yorkers. They do not know the countless thousands of tenants who for years for decades have been in the trenches, fighting to save their buildings, fighting to turn around their blocks, fighting to improve their parks, to start local community nonprofits, to start local small businesses. We know those New Yorkers. We are those New Yorkers. And we know that it would be a profound injustice if now that so many neighborhoods are turning around, the very tenants who for decades have been there through thick and thin would now be forced out by landlords who want nothing more than to jack up the rent by emptying apartments and taking the market rate. And we know that the worst of the landlords have been using housing court as a weapon. As a weapon. To haul tenants into court on the flimsiest of grounds because they knew in the vast majority of cases the tenant would not have a lawyer. And the devastation that that has wreaked on countless families, our neighbors in every neighborhood in this city, and the painful thought of how many of those families would still be in their homes today if they only had had an attorney. Eso se acabó ya. Eso se acabó. Eso de hostigar a los inquilinos. Eso de llevarlos a los tribunales de vivienda con casos flojos. Se acaba hoy de una vez y para siempre. Today starts a new era for tenants in New York City because today we pass, say it with me now, Intro 214. That's right, in a matter of hours. And we are thrilled that our mayor, Bill de Blasio, has signaled that he will sign the bill in short order. And we are so grateful for his historic commitment of resources to fund this initiative and his passion for this cause. And we are thrilled that the final bill we'll be voting on not only guarantees legal services for low-income tenants in private housing, but for residents of NYCHA. NYCHA residents. Ojo, señores, both in housing court and in administrative hearings. This is a huge, huge victory for those of us who are fighting for our neighbors and brothers and sisters in NYCHA. This legislation will prevent homelessness. This legislation will prevent apartments from leaving rent regulation and going market rate. This legislation will save our city money. But even if those things weren't true, it would still be the right thing to do because there is no fairness in any legal proceeding when one side has an attorney and the other side does not. Justice demanded that we pass this bill, and we are passing it today. Y hemos comprobado que inclusive en la época de Donald Trump, y oigan, me duele decir ese nombre, pero vamos, que inclusive en esta época, con tantas amenazas que vienen de la Casa Blanca, aún podemos lograr victorias progresistas acá a nivel local en Nueva York y a través del país. We have proven that even in the era of Donald Trump, we can still score wins for social justice, for economic justice at the local level where we are still in control. And we are doing it in New York City. Cities around the country are watching us, and already in Philadelphia, in Washington, D.C., in Chicago, legislation is starting to move to follow our lead in New York. New York City is in the lead again. Now, we know that securing rights is never easy. It's a long fight. It takes years of organizing. You got to persevere against the naysayers and the haters. And we know we got many other fights ahead of us. We have to fight for the rights of immigrants, all immigrants, to an attorney when they face deportation in immigration court. We have to fight for the right of all New Yorkers to be treated fairly by our police. We have to fight for the right to a transportation system which actually works. How about that? I know some of you were late this morning. It's not your fault. It's really not your fault. Pero hoy se trata de celebrar. Hoy se trata de agradecerle a todos ustedes que tanto hicieron para lograr esta victoria. Whatever the fights ahead, there's no group of people that I'd rather be in the trenches with. And I know we have many more fights together. This is not the end, and I look forward to many, many more victories with all of you. Thank you. Muchísimas gracias. Oh, am I lucky. Oh, am I lucky to get to introduce a woman who can only be described as a force of nature, my colleague, my partner, my friend, my ally in the struggle, a woman who has rock-solid principles, who has deeply held convictions, is not afraid to say that from the heights of power down to the corner of her community, with whom this victory would not have been possible. Join me in welcoming Council Member Vanessa Gibson.